Rimsha had always believed that healing was simple: diagnose the problem, give the treatment, and watch the body slowly recover. But her own heart had never followed those rules. After a shattering breakup that left her questioning her worth, she buried herself in her hospital routine: morning shifts, late-night rounds, emergency calls, and endless patient charts. Work didn't heal her, but it kept her from thinking. And for Rimsha, that was enough. Life continued like this until the afternoon Adeel walked in. He was tall, calm, and carried a sadness he tried very hard to hide. His arm was wrapped in a plaster, the result of a road accident. He sat quietly on the clinic bed, avoiding eye contact like someone who had forgotten how to speak about himself. Rimsha stepped in, checking his file. "Adeel Khan?" she asked. He nodded gently. She examined his arm, checking mobility, noting the swelling that remained. Everything about the appointment was normal, except the way he looked at the floor as if carrying weight heavier than his injuries. She asked, "Any pain today?" Adeel hesitated, then said, "Some. But it's manageable." Rimsha paused. "You don't just mean the arm, right?" His eyes flickered upward, surprised that someone noticed. He gave a small, strained smile but didn't answer. And Rimsha didn't push. Instead, she gently advised him about his medication schedule and asked him to return in a week. When he left, she expected him to fade from her mind like every other patient. But he didn't. There was something in his silence she recognized, a reflection of her own. A week later, Adeel returned. This time, he looked a little lighter, though his eyes still carried shadows. Rimsha found herself smiling before she realized it. "How's the pain this week?" she asked. He shrugged softly. "Getting better. Or maybe I'm getting used to it." "You shouldn't have to get used to pain," she replied quietly. Adeel looked at her for a moment, studying the sincerity in her voice. "Do you believe that for yourself too?" he asked. His question felt like a mirror she wasn't ready to look into. She cleared her throat and shifted the topic back to his treatment. But inside, she felt something shift, something warm and unsettling. The next few appointments grew more personal. Adeel shared bits of his life in scattered pieces. He had lost someone he loved deeply, and since then, he moved through life like a man half awake. Rimsha didn't pry, but whenever she listened with her whole heart. And Adeel noticed. One day, he said, "You know, I didn't think anyone could understand what emptiness feels like. But when you listen, it feels like I'm not completely alone." Rimsha's chest tightened. She wanted to say something comforting, but words felt too small. She simply offered a soft look, the kind that tells someone you care even if you can't fix everything. Time passed, and Adeel's fracture healed, but something else had started to grow between them, a quiet companionship neither of them expected. They began meeting outside the hospital, first by accident, then by choice. A coffee after work, a walk outside the hospital building, small conversations that turned into long, lingering ones. Adeel slowly opened up about his grief. Rimsha listened, not out of obligation but because she wanted to understand him. And when he learned about her broken past, he listened just as deeply. One evening, they sat on a bench outside the hospital as the sun dipped behind the buildings, casting everything in warm gold. Adeel said, "Do you ever feel like life is giving you a second chance, but you're scared to take it?" Rimsha looked at him, her heart quietly beating in a way she had almost forgotten. "Every day," she whispered. He exhaled slowly, as if releasing something heavy. They didn't hold hands. They didn't confess anything. They simply sat side by side, letting the silence speak for them. Their connection grew in small moments, a shared laugh, the way Adeel waited for her after long shifts, the way Rimsha felt ease in his presence, the comfort of knowing someone finally understood. He wasn't perfect, nor was she. But together, they felt safe. One cloudy evening, a sudden downpour began as Rimsha left the hospital. She rushed toward the gate but stopped short when she saw Adeel waiting with an umbrella. He smiled softly, wiping raindrops from his forehead. "You'll catch a cold," he said. She laughed. "What are you doing here? I thought maybe you shouldn't walk home alone today." There was a softness in his tone that made her heart tremble. She stepped under his umbrella, and as they walked through the rain together, she realized how natural it felt being next to him. The world around them blurred, the sound of rain, the glow of streetlights, distant traffic. All that remained clear was the warmth between them. Halfway home, Adeel stopped. His voice was gentle but unsure. "Rimsha, do you think broken people like us can ever fall in love again? I mean, truly love?" Rimsha's breath caught. She thought of her past, her pain, the walls she had built around her heart. But then she looked at him, really looked. At his vulnerability, his hope, his fear of hurting and being hurt. She took a step closer. I think broken people love differently, she said. More carefully, more deeply, because they know what pain feels like. Adeel swallowed, emotions tightening his voice. And, do you think you could ever love someone like me? Her answer came softly, almost like a confession carried by the rain. I think I already do. Adeel closed his eyes as if absorbing the moment. When he opened them, there was something new inside them, light. Not bright, not loud, just enough to say he was alive again. He gently held her hand, not asking for more, not promising anything rushed. Just a touch that said he wanted to heal with her, not alone. Over the next months, their relationship grew the same way their love had begun, slow, steady, honest. They supported each other through bad days and smiled together on good ones. They learned that healing wasn't a destination but a journey, and walking it with someone who understands makes the path softer. Rimsha realized she was laughing more, eating properly again, sleeping without feeling empty. Adeel began painting again, something he stopped after losing the person he once loved. He told Rimsha she brought color back into his world. And little by little, the past stopped haunting them. One evening, as they walked along a quiet street, Adeel stopped and looked at Rimsha with a softness that made her heart melt. You know, he said, I used to think some wounds never heal. But then I met you, and I realized some people are medicine in human form. Rimsha leaned her head gently against his shoulder. We healed each other, she whispered. They stood there under the fading sky, two hearts once broken, now slowly stitching themselves together, not with grand gestures, but with kindness, patience, and love that came softly, like a whisper instead of a storm. Sometimes love doesn't arrive when you're looking for it. Sometimes it finds you when you're shattered. And teaches you to breathe again.